Hello and welcome to our 13th episode of the Non-League Heroes podcast. As always, your host, Dan Welch and Dan Waltley. Dan, good evening.
Evening, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, mate. Yeah, not too bad. Had a little trip away to France, didn't I? Little Disneyland trip. For someone that never watched a Disney film, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's quite remarkable, actually, to be there. I didn't think, obviously I took the kids, it's for the kids, but yeah, I was actually quite surprised myself how much I enjoyed myself. But yeah, other than that,
emotional, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit emotional seeing the kids very happy and seeing what they think are their like heroes, stars, whatever you call them, the characters. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. What have you been up to?
Football.
Yeah.
Well, what else is there to do? No, we had a good result on Saturday, which was nice. We broke. Well, we were 4 winless. Going into Saturday in the league, and we went down to Hawley, who have been quite a good run of form actually, but absolutely tore them apart. Beat them 6-1, which I don't think anyone saw coming. Like not us. I don't think our gaffer saw it coming. They certainly didn't. They had their schools day. There was about 200 people there. But yeah, like, don't get me wrong, the people there are lovely, the club's great, but they were absolutely terrible. On the pitch, they were shocking. Like some of the goals, I posted them in the group, some of them, and I think our fifth and sixth maybe, the ball's come in the box and the defenders just stood there. You just watched the ball go past them. It was unbelievable. I think that obviously they were done, but yeah, It was nice to get back to winning ways. Hopefully kick on now, and I think the playoffs is gone. We're about 13 points behind, even though Fleet got beat on the weekend. But yeah, best of the rest and go next year.
So it wasn't a case of obviously just being nearly there for the points, and then obviously turn up Saturday and just give someone a good idea, and it weren't on the cards at all.
Not the way I've been playing, no. But I think some air was cleared in the week, and then we were just clinical in front of the goal. We couldn't miss. So. Yeah, it was a very, very pleasant sunny afternoon for myself.
Yeah, well, I was the opposite end of the spectrum. My game on Saturday, Enfield at home, terrible, mate. Literally, not great. Enfield could have really been 2 or 3-0 up at half time, to be honest, but we scored a goal just before half time to go in the 1-0 lead. And I really thought that would be the kickstart that we needed for the second half, but they came out, got an equaliser, and then we got a penalty late on. So it was a very below Burko par performance, I'd say. Wasn't anything to shout about. It was just literally grab the 3 points and go, and we keep the pressure on Real Bedford in the first position.
That's the thing. You're picking up the points, so when you're not playing well, so that's the important thing. Although you could have dropped 4 points in the last week, and you'd be well off it now. Bedford would have been running away. So they're important points to pick up when you're not playing well. So hopefully, Aylesbury can do you a favour on Tuesday night.
Yeah, well,
obviously, when this recording goes out, we'll know whether.
Yeah.
What's going
on. We're at home to Hadley tomorrow night. They beat us 3 or 4-1 earlier on in the season. Very good side. Okay. They're currently sitting 4th. They were dropping in form, but they seem to have picked up again now over the last 3 or 4 games. So they're coming to the Glencar. I feel that we should go on and win, but you never know at this level, especially with the teams up the top there. Everyone can beat everyone apart from Real Bedford, who just seem to be beating literally everyone. But yesterday, the National Cup quarter-final.
National Sunday Cup. Yeah.
Very. I was asked to go over and take over the St. Joe's Twitter for the day. So I went over there. 2 of the best teams probably in the country in Sunday League terms. St. Joe's versus Highgate Albion. Highgate Albion went on to win the game 3-1. but the game didn't live up to expectations. I must admit, the wind we was over at Barton, and literally it's in the middle of an open. The wind was absolutely diabolical. I mean, I was standing behind the goal, near enough blowing away. It played a massive factor in the game, where I was so excited to see these two teams match up and battle it out. The game was pretty much won because the team, whoever was kicking uphill, conceded the most goals in either half. Fortunately, St Joe's gave away a penalty, and then Highgate got two identical corners. The wind just whipped it straight in on the keeper, towards the keeper, and they got two big centre halves, and they got their head on it, and they won 3-1. But it was not a quarter final of the National Cup fixture in my eyes. I think both teams would agree that take that wind away and let them play on a flat pitch. That's what we all would want to see. But at the end of the day, it's a W for Highgate Albion, and they'll move into the semi-finals now, where they'll take on Liverpool's Mayfair, who I'm pretty sure have won it before. So that's down to
a huge tie.
There's some other results. I think they were last week, weren't they, Dan?
Yes, they were the 16th. So North Solihull Athletic beat Hartlepool AFC. Mayfair, as you just mentioned, beat Marley Potts 4-2 away from home. And East London Ballers were absolutely smashed under the radar. Quite little bit of a local derby there, but they gave them a bit of a hiding 5-1. So Highgate Albion now host Mayfair, and East London Ballers host North Solihull Athletic in the semi-final. So obviously Highgate Albion Mayfair is probably the standout one there.
Yeah, whoever wins that, it was pretty much whoever won that fixture yesterday for me would go on and win it. But then Mayfair, Liverpool, I think I've heard from a few people now that Liverpool treats Sunday League like a Saturday, so they'll have players in and around step 2s and step 3s turning out for that. I would imagine the ones that ain't on the contract and the ones that they can play. So
it's going to be interesting.
I think the winner of that tie, Mayfair versus
Highgate
Albion, they'll go on to win it. But that'll be interesting. But I just want to have a quick shout out to my Sunday League team, Stratford Arms. They played a top of the table clash against the Six Bells, two very good sides. And so basically, Dan Newton, who plays for Burko, he turned out for Six Bells against us, and it was 1-1. Dan Newton's just raced up the pitch in the 92nd minute, and he's flicked it over our keeper's head, 2-1. He's took his shirt off. He's running around the pitch, celebrating. Literally straight after the restart, Stratford equalised, 93rd minute, 2-2. And then 95th minute, Jack Woods gets brought down on the outside, and then bang into the box, Stratford 3-2. So a lesson to be learned for Dan Newton. Never take your shirt off, thinking that you scored the winner against the Strath. But yeah, what a fantastic win. And Stratford Arms, that pretty much now confirms their, I think it's their 3rd or 4th league title in a row. So congratulations to them. I mean, it's not confirmed yet, but I think 8 points clear with about 3 games in hand or something stupid like that. So a big shout out to the boys over at the Strath. And what else has been going on around the ground? Any news?
There's not. It's what I'm more looking forward to this weekend, to be honest with you. Obviously, we've got the FA Trophy and FA Vars quarterfinals.
Yep.
So looking forward to that. The FA Trophy, obviously, the standout tie for, I guess, us being more down south is the Sittingbourne Aldershot game, especially with the way Sittingbourne have been knocking out the teams above them, and obviously we had Ryan Maxwell on as well. So a bit of invested interest in that. They host Aldershot Town. That's actually a 12:30 game. That is being streamed. Then you've got Sutton United against Spennymoor. And then quite a massive one in the northwest, which is Rochdale Altrincham. Really two quite heavy favourites there, I think. Like we said about Highgate Albion and St Joe's, any one of those two that go through could well be favourites to win that. And then Oxford City host Woking. So, I mean, I think it's quite open still, despite what it looks like on paper. Sutton and Spennymoor, obviously that's a long way down, but Spennymoor on a good run of form in the National League North. And obviously we know what Sittingbourne have been about this season.
Yeah, I mean, very impressed with Ryan Maxwell and the way he's gone about his business down at Sittingbourne, and like you said, they've knocked out some massive clubs. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was another shock, but I'm pretty sure that you're backing Aldershot for this one.
I mean, and their form ain't great, is it? They nicked a last minute winner on the weekend. I mean, I think it's anyone's. I think Aldershot quite low on confidence. Yeah, their league form's been horrendous. I mean, they dropped down before Saturday's game just gone. Before the weekend, they're in the relegation zone in the National League, which for a club like Aldershot would have following, and that shouldn't be happening. They should be fighting for playoffs, really. So yeah, a bit of a strange one, but I don't know. I think Sittingbourne could do it again. It's the unknown. Aldershot will have 195 fans there only. It's going to be a massive, massive home crowd. It's interesting. It's going to be an interesting game for sure. Much better than what it looks like on paper.
The next time we will record, we will know the answer. So good luck to the final four in the trophy. What's happening in Vars?
In the Vars, so again, some massive games. Whiteleaf against Bourne Town. So that's a nice little journey for Bourne to the South London Surrey border. Hartpury University, who are looking quite strong against Erith and Belvedere. Whitstable Town against Whitchurch Allport. I mean, that's a massive, massive journey for Whitchurch Allport. What they up in the Midlands, down all the way down to the arse end of Kent. So that's going to be a long journey. And then Andover New Street of the Wessex League against Heanor Town. So yeah, I really don't know. I really can't call it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I've said it all along. I think Whiteleaf are going to get to the final. But I also know that they also look at Hartpury University as the ones to avoid. They don't want them in the semi-finals. I've been told. So it just depends what happens. Obviously, Saturday and then the draw following that. But
yeah,
it is a brand new winner of the FA Vars.
Yeah, so
all 8 of these teams have never won it before. So there's going to be a brand new name on the trophy this season, which is great, on the 11th of May.
Yeah, very exciting, and obviously another good thing for the non-league itself overall, having a new winner and two new teams experiencing a day out at finals day. It's coming soon. Just one other thing that crossed my mind, crossed my Twitter page this week, is the Essex Senior League. What a fantastic thing that they're doing for the non-league day, which is coming up in I think it's around the 22nd of March, Saturday the 22nd of March.
I think it's, around that time, isn't it?
They are doing a ground hop weekend. So pretty much they're putting a game on Friday night. They're putting a 12:30 game on. They're putting a 3 o'clock. Obviously, you'll have the 3 o'clocks, and they're having a 7:45 game. And they're doing an ESL passport for just £30 that you can go and watch all 3 games, which I think is a fantastic idea. What about you?
Yeah, I've actually I've seen a few of them. They do like ground hopping weekends. The ground hopper community organize it. So I've seen a little bit of it. I actually caught a game. It must have been last Easter. I think it was Hellenic because I'm just down the road from Mortimer. So we had a 3 o'clock game at home. And they had a midday kickoff. So I went down there, watched the first game, and it was nuts. I mean, there was well over 150, 200 there, and I think it was like a step 8 game. But then you've got ground hoppers setting up like pin badge stalls and like books and magazines and stuff. It was a brilliant atmosphere, and the sun was blinding, so it was great. It was a great day. I think it's brilliant. I think a lot more clubs should do this, especially it allows the clubs that are taking part, especially the ones that are hosting the games, to gain more exposure, to gain more revenue from people coming in, because you're going to get people traveling from all over the country to go to this weekend. It happens. People may listen to that and think that's a bit strange, but it happens. A lot of people travel around the country to go to these hot weekends. The Friday night games, especially, I think it's a brilliant idea to maximize revenue. There's no other games on, is there?
No.
I think also clubs are starting now. I know Farnham Town have started playing their midweek games on a Wednesday.
Right, yeah.
And just knowing Harry, that's 100% to maximise their attendances, because how many other games are there on Wednesdays?
Yeah, no. So, well, it's exactly that. I mean,
Do you know what I mean? They're all
clever thinking.
Tuesdays, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
clever.
Well,
It's clever the Friday night and the Wednesdays, because
what about the Saturday night, 7:45? Have you ever had a game on a Saturday night, 7:45?
not a Saturday. No, I don't know how I feel about that in non-league. I don't know how I feel about that in professional football, to be honest with you.
No,
Yeah,
Saturday
I
night,
mean, if
7:45.
I was still playing and I get a text midweek and the gaffer goes, "Game this weekend, lads. We're away in South
Yeah.
London. Kick off 7:45." I'd be like, "Hang on a minute. Hang on
Yeah.
a minute. It's a Saturday. I've got to wait around all day. I can't do anything."
Nah. Well,
And
you go
now,
watch the other two games, can't you, early on?
yeah, but would
Psych
you though? Do you
yourself
know
up.
what I mean?
Nah.
When I was playing, I just want to finish and get back on the beers. Like, no chance. Quarter to
Yeah.
8, not hoping now.
But whilst we're on the old non-league day thing, I think it's only right. I'll plug my non-league day weekend. It's Berkhamsted versus Real Bedford. The
Oh,
top
wow.
two, the top two collide on non-league
That's
day,
huge.
March the
Yeah, yeah.
22nd at the Glencar. So if you are a season ticket holder at a football league or a Premier League club, obviously it's non-league day. First of all, go and support your local non-league club. That's one thing that I do 100% want you to do. But Berkhamsted versus Real Bedford. Could the title race be over by then? Possibly. If we win, could we go on to win the title? Possibly. There's so many outcomes that probably falls in the next, I think it's 4 weeks, maybe just under 4 weeks' time. So there's about 4 or 5 games to play before then. But that non-league day is absolutely massive for the club, for both clubs. And yeah, come along and enjoy the top of the table clash. But
yeah, well, if Real Bedford slip up one of those games now, we know what the pitches are like in a minute. They could go to a cow field, not be able to play football, and the other team can nick a result, win that game, and it's totally changed. So
we've been saying it. We've been
we've said it for weeks.
Mate, they've been up to. If you've gone up to Kidlington and smashed them, then you could play on anything. Kidlington's an absolute farmhouse. But
said about non-league day. I don't think us at Tadley have ever been at home since the initiative's been running. I think we've been away the whole time.
Yeah, I mean it's very much similar to when I was at Coney Heath for 2 seasons there. We were away both sides, and it's something. Yeah. Obviously, we do the social media. I mean, it would have been great. Well, hopefully, when I see the amount of people that will turn up for this game, and it'll be hopefully down to the work that I will put out, because I'm going to start building that game up probably a week or 2 before, just to get it in the back of people's minds, and hopefully they make their decisions early and come down. I'm reckoning at least 800. I'm expecting at least 800.
You're saying 800. The thing is, though,
we get 400. We get 400 every week. Non-league day, Berkhamsted, Real
Bedford. They got quite a good following. And plus, you're going to have people, Luton, Watford,
all the Watford fans,
maybe around that way, that haven't got games. So
no, it's going to be a mad weekend, that one.
Yeah, well, leading us nicely into this episode, we've actually got Redhill away on that afternoon. So, that could be another big say in the title in the Combined County South. But
yeah,
I'm not counting my chickens just yet after the weekend. We'll see how we get on before that. There's some good title races up and down the country, to be fair. I mean, from step 1, Steve, all the way down, obviously you've got the National League South, Dorking at top of the minute, but down in third you've got Worthing, who are only 4 points off and 2 games in hand. They got back to winning ways this weekend after being 1-0 down at half-time at home to Salisbury. They beat them 3-2. So I still think it's in Worthing's hands, obviously, if they win all their remaining games that they've won the league. Barnet obviously pulled away in the National League at the weekend with a storming 4-0 win. And York dropped points. It could have been all 3 points until the last minute header, wasn't it? 92nd minute.
Yep.
That was an invaluable point for York. But step 3, Macclesfield. Well, what are we? End of February. Macclesfield need 8 points to secure the title at the end of Feb. Insane. Yeah. I mean, they're getting back to where they should be. You know,
Robbie Savage done a cracking job, isn't he? He's pretty similar to what's going on down here with the likes of Real Bedford. He's taken over. He said he's going to get him back to Football League, and he's only 2 seasons away from it now. Yeah,
well, obviously going through the ranks, you saw it with AFC Wimbledon as well. That back in the day, the support and the crowds that they pull obviously generates the finances to then put back in to go up. So you're expecting Macclesfield, you're expecting Bury, you're expecting those teams to come back and do it. And also the Isthmian League, as well as the South Central, has got a good title race as well. Billericay on 66, Dartford 64, and Horsham 63. So there's some big, big title races coming up in March, which I think probably a lot of them will be won and lost because a lot of teams, especially Step 3 down, have a load of games in March. It's being really full. Obviously, we've had the postponements. The cups are getting out of the way, so leagues taking priority, and there's going to be some big implications up and down the country over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, and just a quick mention to MK Irish. I know we had Mason Spencer on the other week. I think I don't even know how many points clear they are. They're probably only 2 wins away now from winning the league, and obviously Amersham Town as well over at the can't think of what division they are.
Nine Counties North. It's quite tight. Yeah. To be fair,
they've them got, and Egham.
Egham are only 3 points behind them and 2 games in hand. So could get interesting.
Perfect. It's now time for our first guest of the evening. It's Cockfosters manager Gavin Kelsey. Gavin, how are you?
I'm good, chaps. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good.
Very well, thanks.
Thanks for coming on.
No worries.
So firstly, just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, your playing days and your managing days, and we'll get into it a little bit further.
Yeah, I didn't really play much, decent level when I used to play. I've done a bit right at the end. Well, I've done a bit right at the beginning with Hertford, with Kev Christou, funny enough. Your guest, last week?
Last week, yep.
And then right at the death, I've done a bit with Harpenden, just their reserves, and that's kind of where it led on to me getting into the coaching, really. But that's a long time ago. Like I think it was 32, and the old legs had gone, so it was time to jack it
in. Then obviously the managerial come around. Started at St Mags.
Well, it's funny because it actually started at Harpenden. So there was a manager there called Paul Tompkins, and I think he got made first team manager, and he said to me, "Do you want to come in and do some coaching with us and stuff?" And I was just like, well, it keeps me involved. And then it kind of went from there. But I ended up at St Mags, just helping out Kev again with their reserves, and it kind of spiraled from there, really.
Yeah. So obviously your managerial stats. I mean, I've got them here. They haven't actually got your Cockfosters here, but you've won a lot of bloody games as a manager.
Well,
so go on. Tell us a bit more.
It's funny because I kind of took over. I've done 2 years in St Mags reserves. Second year, I took on the notorious Phil Lovell as my coach, and I had Jay playing for me. And then that as you all well know, Lee Judges was the manager of St Mags back then, the first team. He decided to move on, and I took over. Okay. And it started from there. I had a really good group, and we added at the time, and it just kind of moved on. And then obviously we've done 2 years at St Mags. Then I moved to Hoddesdon in a bit of a controversial move, to be fair. I wasn't well liked at St Mags after that. But we had a cracking year at Hoddesdon the next year. I think we went about 4 or 5 rounds in the FA Cup, made a few quid, finished third in the league. I think it was something like that. Again, we had at the beginning of that season with Hoddesdon, we added the likes of Tommy Wade, Draper. We added some decent names. So we was kind of, we was at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. And then obviously Hertford Town, obviously again a very, very successful period. Was it 2 periods you've had there?
No. So I've done a year at Hoddesdon, and then very controversially again, jumped ship to near neighbour Hertford, and So I've done what I do. We got them promoted.
Yeah.
We finished second. Somehow we finished second that year, and we got promoted because London Coney I don't know. They didn't want to go up or something, did they? So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we went up. First year there we won. We got promoted. Second year we finished about, I don't know, 6th or 7th in step 4, and then the third year I was there till about February, and then my time was up.
Yeah, I'm just going back to those Hertford Town days. You had a crack inside there. Obviously, I remember the ding dongs you used to have with London Coney. Yeah, just how good were those days back then for you?
Yeah, listen, like everyone who was anyone back then was involved in those games. Like you look at London Coney back then, there was a crack inside. You had Woods in there, didn't you? Yeah. And some of the lads who don't play anymore. Sweeney was gaffer then, wasn't he? Is that right?
Yeah, Joe Sweeney got him. They won the league that year. Yeah.
Yeah. Alfie Osborne was involved, wasn't he?
Yeah, Alfie's his son. Yeah.
Yeah. Alfie was involved, and there were some big hitters down there as well. You know what I mean? Who then went on to play for Tomo at Heath. But they were cracking days. Look, no disrespect to football now, you just don't get games like that.
No, I try telling a lot of people that the Spartan South Midlands now, it's maybe more technically better, but back then you had the Hertford Towns, you had the London Conies, you had the Hoddestons, you had the Burkos, and you had the Ware. I mean, they were anyone could have won it out of 4 or 5 of those teams.
Yeah, there were some good sides. It's quite funny actually, because if you Google London Coney versus Coney Heath, there's a game on there from back in the day where, honestly, like you show youngsters that now, and it's an absolute kick fest. It's brilliant. You know what I mean? It's brilliant. It's a proper throwback, and everyone's just levering everyone. It's great. I think Jimmy Hill scores an outrageous goal.
Jimmy Hill, what a player.
Yeah.
But you don't, like you said, you don't get those types of players. And I don't think Jimmy Hill, he wouldn't last. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't last full 90 now if he was playing in today's game with the officials. But obviously, the Cockfosters, your current Cockfosters manager, how did that come around?
Well, I helped him out just around like the COVID period when Wadey was manager. And I'd spent, because it got to a point at Hertford where I was spending a lot of time managing the side and doing this and that, and there was a restructure behind the scenes, a bit of a power struggle, and I decided that my time was done there, so I kind of walked away from it, and at that period away from football, like we'd moved into a new place round the back of Ware, and it needed a lot of work, so I kind of took some time out of football to get that sorted and keep the wife off my back. You know what I mean? So, and then obviously I spent 3 years out, and I helped Wadey out for a bit, and obviously got to know Vass, the chairman, who's like top fella. And then Wadey had kind of come to the end of the road with what he wanted to do there, and I kind of the chairman. I think he got my number from Wadey, and it kind of went from there really. And it sat right with me, because in the 3-year period, I got a few offers to go back in and do this or do that, but it kind of sat right with where I wanted to be at that time.
So those offers that you did get, were none of them right for you, obviously, at that time?
Well,
was it more that, or was it more you needed the break?
Well, I was doing a lot of football. Like when we got promoted into step 4, I was trying to oversee like every team at the club, and then trying to recruit and spending a lot of time. I think we was in the North Division at the time, Bostik North, and then they moved us to another division the following season. So I was just doing so much, and listen, time flies when you love football. You can go to a football club at 9 o'clock in the morning, be there at 9 o'clock at night, and you don't even know. You just love it. You know what I mean? That's what we're about. We're football people. But I'd said to the wife that we'd get the house finished before I went back into football, and it was kind of something that we really needed to do. And that kind of kept me out more than anything. And also, with what happened at Hertford, I think for a football manager, everyone has to be working in the same direction.
100%, yeah.
And there can be there's a lot of volunteers, and there's a lot of people that you just need everyone on board. And I just thought that until I find a club like that, I think I'm just going to stay out. And I did, and it's kind of worked out right. I think at the time I kind of said to myself that if I didn't get back in that season that I did, I'd probably just call it a day and not bother anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cockfosters turned up, and the rest is history, really.
Yeah. So let's get on to Cockfosters. I mean, is it your second season in charge now?
No, I've been there. I think it's 3 years, literally to the.
Oh, you joined
day. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you joined midway through the season, right?
Yeah, I joined in. Me and Drake's. We turned up around the February mark, and
Right.
Yeah. So
how's it been going? Obviously, we'll get onto this season very shortly, but how's it been going since you joined Cockfosters?
Yeah, it's a good club. It's a small club, as everyone knows, and I've got the chairman's so supportive, really helps with that. He's a football man as well, which is half the battle. He's very involved and loves to phone up and on the phone constantly about what we can do and what we can't do, and yeah, it's got a good connect there. And yeah, it's tough because obviously you've got some big clubs in the Spartan, and recruiting players is a tough gig at times, and it is tough to get people at Cockfosters. Obviously, when you've come from the likes of Hoddesdon and Hertford Town, I had people wanting to join me, and there wasn't really a conversation of twisting people's arms. It was like, can I come and play? So it's been the whole thing going back, like the 3 years have flown, but the whole 3 years out, a lot changed, and I don't think people realise how quickly things do change in football. It was a bit of a shock to me, to be fair, because I had such a good group with me, the Hoddestons and the Hart. Very rarely did I have to really go into detail with them about certain aspects that I wanted how them to play, and some of the lads that I then went into Cockfosters with, I spent a lot of time just what I felt was going over the basics, but sometimes back to basics, and it did shock me a little bit. It did shock me, but listen, we're learning every day, so it was a bit of a learning curve.
So would you say that's the biggest change that you saw over those 3 years, or is there anything else kind of in the player culture or the non-league culture that's changed dramatically from when you started that break to then coming back?
I would say, two of the main things was the physicality. It kind of had gone away from that.
Yeah.
You had people that, like a big centre half who could intimidate a forward, and that was part of his game. Not so much the case anymore. They all want to be players, don't they? Head and kick the ball if you're a centre half, and you'll look good. I think the social side of it slowed right down. I don't know whether that's COVID inflicted, but or just the generation. You'd have a lot of lads who would stay for a beer afterwards, and that kind of bond was unbelievable at Hertford. Like, we would stay behind, and whether it's right or wrong, the bar would get drunk dry. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Fans, and you'd have a right, like we'd roll out of there sometimes and straight into Hertford town centre, and you just, whatever time you got home, you got home. But I just find the lads now they're a lot more into their fitness. They spend a lot more time at the gym. They're very concerned about the way they look and the way they are. Which, listen, there's no harm in that at all, and you accept everyone for what they feel is best for them. So yeah, that changed, I think.
I think it's a society change though since COVID. I think because maybe that generation coming up 18, 19, 20, they couldn't go out, they couldn't socialize the way that has generations in the past. So that was kind of a release for them, and I think it's just carried on. I mean, like you said, like the fitness world on social media is just blowing up, isn't it? And now everyone's seeing that, they want to try and emulate it.
Yeah, well, you can go on any kind of social media now, and you can find yourself a workout that you can do by yourself. Like a PT now is, well, I used to see a PT before, and coming out of COVID, I don't bother anymore. I'll do it myself, and
yeah,
it's that the access of information is massive now, isn't it? And
it became much more accessible, didn't it?
Yeah. Even myself, like I look at how I used to go out a lot, drinking and socialising, like not so much anymore coming out of COVID. So yeah, perhaps that is, one of the main points for that.
Yeah, so obviously this season you're currently sitting second in the Spartan South Midlands Premier Division. I think we could all agree that MKI will go on to win it now. But yeah, how's your season going and playoffs? Was that your priority at the start of the season?
To be fair, we sat down on the last game of the season. We lost 3-0 up at Sheffield. I think it was me, Drapes, Burner, and Phil. We sat down and just said something's got to change. We was, like I said, we were blessed with some fantastic players previously, and the way we wanted to play, we'd kind of gone away from that. We'd tried to be a little bit more direct, and it just wasn't working. So we sat down and we spent the summer recruiting like you wouldn't believe, picking out who we wanted and a style of play we needed to implement. And we targeted, obviously you look up and you go to the playoff final, you go to the semi-finals, and there's an air of envy that your team's not there. And it hurts. It hurts me because I've only ever been used to dealing with the top end of the table. The fact that we finished, I think, 8th last year, that for someone like me, that's alien to me. And I need to be in and around the top. I need to be, amongst it. And the target was to hit the playoffs. So we're on target for that. We had a cracking September, October, November. And that's put us in a fortunate position now because we've not stumbled. We've had an issue, as you guys well know, around like from October, November time. The weather is just absolutely ridiculous. We've not got the best pitch in the world. It's no secret. It coincided with us having to play like the likes of Aylesbury. I think that we've tried to play them twice and that's been off. No fault of their own. We know the problems they have up there. So I calculated it recently. I think we played six or 7 games since the end of October, and whereas we were playing week in, week out, and we were winning. All of a sudden, we played 1 game in February, and I think that was a defeat to Tring, and you could see we made 3 mistakes up at Tring, and 2 of the mistakes led to goals. So. We need to get back to playing week in, week out, and that's happening now. We've got 10 games, and we go from there.
Yeah, the momentum's a massive thing, isn't it? Because the teams are sharper. It's all right having or being fit and having players back, but they need that match sharpness, don't they? And with the games being off, like you said, you played once in January. That's not giving your players the match fitness they need.
No, and we do everything we can to try and get them in a position to play and be ready to play and be match sharp. And we organise friendlies after friendlies. We go into gyms. We do everything we can for the benefit of the player. But that nothing will ever beat, a competitive game, against Tring or.
So we just lost you there, Gav. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
Yeah, well, I can't remember where I was, to be honest with you.
We just talk about Cockfosters and the run of games that you haven't had.
Yeah, so kind of weather's set us back a bit, but look, we've now got 10 big games coming up, starting with Winslow on Saturday, and we move from there. You just got to look at the case of get back to where we was. We just become a bit consistent the last 6 games. So I'm not going to say anything about Winslow either because I see it killed Kev Christo on these last ones.
Yeah, that certainly backfired.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
So obviously, I know you listen to our podcast. We've had, right, we'll start with Jason Becco, very, very well spoken about you. But what's your bond with Becco been like over the years?
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about this the other day about how you manage someone like him, and I went through every kind of scenario I could go through with Becco. Like, you try and be his mate, you try and be strict with him, you try and there's just no way. There's just no way. And it's a roller coaster ride. It's quite funny because he's mad as that. One of the funniest things he used to do was, say we had an 6:30 meet, I'd be there about 5:45, and I'd see him in his van outside, and I'd go, hello, blah blah blah, see you in a bit. Yeah, he'd wait till like 1 minute past the meet time, and then walk in, and then to get the laugh joke about being late. And if you walk into Hertford Town, like the stadium bit, the manager's office used to be on the right. I don't know if it is anymore. But he walked past and he kicked the door open. And, there'd be something that comes out of his mouth that isn't, too pleasant. And, you just laugh at him. But yeah, listen, he on his day, he's a fantastic footballer. There's no taking that away. Like, he's obviously got his issues with discipline. But I remember we went over to Haringey in the second season with Hertford, and Haringey went up via the playoffs that year, and they were a very, very good side, and Becco was just unbelievable. There was a couple of times when I was just like, that's a goal, and he come out of nowhere, pulled off like tackles, and we beat them 1-0, and it was just and to this day, if I ever bump into the lads that played that day, everyone talks about what a good win it was, how well we played, and just it was just good times.
Yeah, and obviously we also had Charlie Ruff as well. He used to nag you, saying he was ready for the men's game, and you used to. Well, was it? I don't know if you put him on or what. I can't actually remember, but yeah, he's obviously gone on to step 2. What was he like as a kid?
Yeah, he was eager, very eager. When I first turned up at Hertford, we kind of sent him over to Broxbourne and just went do the season there. We knew Broxbourne were going to struggle, but to send someone like that into a struggling side, I think he earned his stripes there. We played them, I think the last game of the season, we beat them 5-0. And he played quite well. And obviously we got promoted, and he come and spoke to me in the summer and said, I want to be part of the first team. And I said, well, the crack here. We've got a decent bunch, and he was like, no, I just want to graft. And look, in fairness to him, it's funny how football works. We was going over to Malden and Tiptree. He weren't starting. On the way over there, one of the lads got sick on the coach.
Right.
So I put him in the starting lineup, and I think he scored 1 and set 2 up, and the rest is history, mate. Another lad that just I think that season Gray's come down from step 3. I think Canvey come down from step 3, and he played against them teams like it was just a game in the park. And we beat them. I don't think Grays beat us that year. We beat Canvey at home, and for a team that was a 2-step difference the season before. But he's just an enjoyable footballer to watch. I think what he learned fast with us was being around like adult footballers. I think that helped him, and when and where not to do things on the pitch. But yeah, he's a really good lad, and the eagerness to train was always there. But we had that within the group. So lovely lad. And another lad, when you put them all together, we just had a really good side. We had Keno in there, Shams was skipper, Jay Lovell was there. We had Ricky Light, you know what I mean? You just go on, Summers, Wadey, it was just such a good group.
Yeah, he did credit as well when we had him on the podcast just how disciplined that group was and how much he learned from the experience of the other players in that group. So it's obviously you giving him that opportunity and then growing from his teammates and peers as well has obviously given him the step up he's needed.
Yeah. And I actually didn't watch that trophy final. I know it sounds silly, but I was out at football at the time and I was walking the dog, and and someone messaged me just saying Charlie Ruff's about to come on, and I was like, all right, okay, I better have a look at that then. So I literally turned it on, and he scored with his shoulder. I was like, happy days, good on him.
Yeah.
I think to see people that you was involved with do well is just great. It's a really good thing for me as a manager. I've never ever stood in anyone's way. If someone comes in, don't get me wrong, we always chat to players about the right and the wrong move, but it's fantastic what he's done and what he's doing.
Did you have a few in that Hartford side that moved that are now playing step 1, step 2? I think you mentioned a couple more, Dover, Billericay.
Yeah, so Ruben Suarez, he come via a link within Cheshunt, I think it was, and he was a youngster. I think he was about 18 at the time, and Hartford were going through this difficult period off the pitch. So we kind of like budgets were moved around, and so we kind of gave people their chance, whoever they were. And Ruben come in and was just a really, really strong young player. We used to pick him up from Hertford North, I think it was, on the way through for training, and very respectful. Just a really, really good player. And you could tell that he was going to go on and do something good. And he's, every week you have a look now, and he's bagging a goal. So he's another one.
It must be rewarding for you, despite obviously promotions and winning games, to have those players as youngsters, to see them now move on and see where they're playing. It must be rewarding for you to see that.
Yeah, it is. It's good to see. It's good to be fair. It's good to see any of the lads that are involved with me still playing whatever the level. Like Dan Palmer's over at Harpenden. It's good to see Dan. Some of them are not at the same level, and they just want to play football with no pressure. And some of them are still playing. Some of them, a lot of them, which was funny when I finally come back into football, a lot of them were finished. And a lot of them weren't playing anymore. But it is for any manager. I think it looks good on you if your players have moved on and done well for themselves. Like 100%. I've never made this about myself. Like, as Welchie was asking me earlier on, he wants a picture of me. I'm not one who's ever been into coming on things like this. I'm not an egotistic person. Like, I love football. I absolutely love football. I love non-league football. Don't so much love Premiership football. I used to, but my love for that's kind of gone. But it's always been about players and teams and togetherness rather than me as a person. You see people where the whole thing's about them.
Yeah,
that's not really my bag,
No. Well, honestly, I've known you for some years now. I think you've been doing a fantastic job everywhere you've been. On the last note, obviously, we know your management team they're as mad as a box of frogs. You've got Drapes, Lovell, and Burnsy. Obviously, I know very well from Cone Heath. But how good is it? I know Drapes and Lovell, they're absolute carnage. But how good have they been to you?
Yeah, well, Phil's been with me practically from the start. I took Draper to Hoddesdon, and those two guys have been great. Burner's more technical, I'd say, but look, they're people. What I find with football is I've got my friends that I've been friends with for years. I spend more time with the football people now than I do with my best friends. Yeah. And I think that shows, in my opinion, you've got these people become your friends. They become your friends, and it's not. It's about enjoyment. Like, it's about a togetherness. And look, Drapes and Phil are absolutely mental. Seriously, right? Within IB for last year, and what went on there, you just can't repeat. But yeah, they're mad. Burner's a bit more like me, a bit more switched on in the sense of, you don't lose it. But yeah, look, they're and they're all friends. That's what it ends up in. They just become friends, and yeah, like I've got some great friends in football. Like Eddie Mack is Eddie Mack come to my wedding like donkeys years ago. Top bloke, and you just become friends with these people, and yeah, they are mad. But that's what makes you love them.
Yeah, totally agree. Welch is talking to himself on mute there.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, so the final thing, Cockfosters, what's the future?
I don't know. If I'm honest with you. Look, I'd love us to get promotion this year, and we will do everything within our power to make that happen. We're constantly on the lookout to improve the squad, to improve anything we can. We've got to take each game as it comes, and that starts at Winslow on Saturday. And then the future, no one knows what the future is. We just have to see what happens, where we finish, and we have a sit down after that, I think.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on, and obviously good luck with the run-in, and hopefully you do get the promotion that you boys deserve.
Cheers, gents. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Gav. Thanks for that, mate.
Thanks, David. Take
Cheers,
care.
mate.
See you soon, mate. Can do this. So that was Gavin Kelsey, the Cockfosters FC manager. Great to get him on. Dan, over to you.
Yeah, so our second final guest of episode 13 is the head of education at Dorking Wanderers and also the Redhill FC manager, Jordan Clark.
Right, boys.
How's it going?
Jordan?
All right.
Very well, yourself?
Yeah, all good. Appreciate you having me on.
No, firstly, thanks for coming on. Just for listeners that may not be familiar with yourself, can you just give us a bit of, obviously, background, where you've been at, what you're doing now?
So I got involved at Dorking Wanderers 10 years ago. So 2015, 2016 was my debut season. The club were step 5, just going up to step 4. And I came in with the dream of or getting on the dream of getting to the Football League with Dorking Wanderers and setting up an academy. So I did an academy program when I was 16, 17, 18. I loved it. I got some fantastic opportunities out of it, being able to play abroad, play at non-league level. And then, when I realised that I wasn't quite good enough to be a player for as long as I wanted, I wanted to have a career in the game. So I wanted to go down a route of making it my full-time job. And Dorking had some fantastic plans with the ground, which is now known as Meadowbank. That was a big attraction for me. The plans, Mark had this, what people would have called at the time, crazy plan of getting us to the pinnacle of non-league football, becoming full-time and getting into the Football League. And I just got right on board with that. And then, we was at West Stumble. I don't know if you remember what West Stumble was like, if you've ever been there, but it was it was a proper sort of non-league ground. And it was hard to envisage what we would be now. But I got on board. And then I realised about 4 years ago that under 18, under 19 football was sort of done for me in a managerial sense. And here I am today, 2 years to the 21st of Feb, was when I was appointed 2 years into being Redhill manager.
No, that's great. Obviously, where you are with Redhill now, last season, we'll touch on your history a bit more, but last season was barely disappointing for you. I remember a conversation at the playoff semi-final. You were just pipped to that by us, ironically. Sadly, but I mean, we could even see last season the way the team was set up, the way that Redhill was going. This season was always going to be the one for yourselves.
Yeah, we when I came in, I'll never it's obviously going to live with me forever. My first job, So I came in and I had the interview, and then they were actually playing Abbey Rangers the 21st of Feb, and I went down after my interview and I thought I'd have a watch, and they got drummed 11-1. And I remember ringing ringing my coaching staff, like, "Are you sure you want to do this with me? Like, you sure you're in this?" So it was it's been a whirlwind, but like we had objectives. I have no problem with being public. I want to be a manager full time. Like I want to be, I want to get as high up the pyramid as I can as a manager, and I'm big on like cutting your teeth and earning the right and getting opportunities at the right time. And Redhill was a great opportunity for me. It was a blank canvas, a little bit of a sleeping giant, to be fair. Like Redhill's got loads of chimney pots around it. It's a big town in Surrey, and what we've done over the last sort of 2 years, not just on the pitch but off the pitch, is great for us. Like it leaves a lasting impression, hopefully, and hopefully we can top it off with a good year this year.
Yeah, obviously the league's very tight for that one automatic spot, and the two, well, they're near the end of the season for you, aren't they? The back-to-backs against Jersey are obviously going to be the ones that will probably define who goes up automatically and who obviously stays in the playoffs.
Yeah, hopefully. We had a little blip week before last, and I've got full confidence in the boys that we're achieving in terms of what we can offer. We're achieving above expectation. The target at the start of the year was always to go one better and get 5th place. We've managed to do that with 9 games to go. We've managed to sort of give ourselves that opportunity, and now it's just we're going to enjoy the sort of last 8 games. And I'd much rather be in this position and be thinking like, bring it on, and we get 2. Ultimately we'll get 2 goes at it. We got an 8 game playoff and then 2 more after that. So bring it on. Hopefully come early May, I'm celebrating in Marbella, not in Redhill.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting end to the season, definitely at the top of Combined County South. But just bringing it back to obviously when you went into Dorking, went in with Mark, you said you could see his plans and it was going to happen. But as you were going through the stages where you were getting promotion after promotion after promotion, how did it change inside the club? Not because obviously you got a bunch of amateurs there now and it's the behind the scenes, but when you're going up through the levels, how did you see it change?
Well, the changes happened, or like the obvious changes had to occur. So like, better infrastructure, more coaching, there's loads of like the obvious things that come to mind. The biggest thing I took from it was what Mark didn't change, which was like, it was really stuck with me and has been part of my Redhill journey as well, is continuity in football is something that, if you look in the history books, it's actually something that pays dividends for all the successful teams. So if you can get a core group of players, sort of that 9, 10, and then add the 6 or 7 you need for a squad. If you can get that and just add where you need to, that will set you up for the longevity of success. And Mark, every year, like he very rarely signed more than 2 or 3 players. There was changes to staff to freshen it up. Like I've worked with some amazing coaches, the likes of Mark Beard, Ross McNeely, in recent times. Like they're top level coaches, and that sort of fresh impetus, fresh ideas was important, because Mark's obviously the driving force in the changing room, and he's the mentality monster that he is. But yeah, other than the sort of obvious changes, like we now train full time. We're basically there. We're 3 mornings. Compared to what we were doing in the early days, an hour and a half, 1 night a week, it's chalk and cheese. But yeah, other than the obvious ones, it was really the things that he didn't change that will stick with me. You know, he doesn't deviate from what he wants and the standards that he has. He had them standards even when they were step 4. You know, the commitment levels and what he demanded from players was always the same as what he does today. Yeah, and he you know, I really describe him as a mentality monster. Like, and you can't help, even if you work for him. He's got another very successful business, you know, and it doesn't surprise me that everything he touches brings success, because he gets the best out of people. He's a real people person. So yeah, he's definitely helped me achieve, you know, some small goals so far and some bigger ones in the future.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's a great mentor to have, isn't it? Growing up and getting that experience from him. Do you think that? So obviously, over the last few months, we've seen a lot of investment. The Rail Bedford and Bedford Town merger, Malden and Tiptree now as well. Obviously, Farnham last season, we saw what they could do. Do you think a lot of teams have looked at the blueprint of Dorking in the first instance, and then maybe #United and thought, yeah, we can do that?
Yeah, I think there is an element of, you know, of not copying, but there's like taking the good things and using them. There's definitely like that's life, isn't it? Like I'm the coach I am today because I've nicked things off of a multitude of people that I've worked with, all the good bits that I liked, and then dismissed the bits I didn't like. So I think there's definitely, you know, similarities, you know, and you can see what the social media world has done for Dorking. Like, our gates when I first came in were like 40 with a dog, you know what I mean? And now, you know, Saturday we played Farnborough, which you could call a local derby, but I don't think it's quite. There's not really a derby mentality there. It's, location-wise, it's all right, but we had 2,000 plus, you know, and we got like 3,500 at the playoff final a couple of years ago. So, like, I think that social media presence, the bunch of amateurs, you see all these clubs now, like Farnham, they've got their non-league diaries. You know, that's what puts teams on the map, and it brings in more investment. Like, Mark's a very, very astute salesman, very, very astute businessman. And the club has always been run on a really good partnership network. And I think clubs really, really don't take advantage of the partnership network and the community that they have around them. And I think what Farnham have done, all these successful clubs you see, they get on board with the local community. And, you know, we've got some sponsors, even within the academy, that are, you know, they're not in it. They know their money is going to something good. They know their money is going to make a difference. And if you enlighten people to what you're offering, then more people will get on board. And that has paved the way for the success of Dorking. Like Mark, of course, he's the biggest volunteer. He's the biggest investor. Whatever you want to call him, he is that. But what he's done more smartly is got people on the journey with him. And the likes of Farnham are doing that now. You see their Pepper Army stand. You see everything else going on. The sidemen using other connections. Mark's got a life outside of Dorking that he's used connections with. And I think people need to look at that. And you're right, like, there will be more teams that will do the same. And there should be, because football's about the community. And if you get them all on board, you can have some of the best memories of your life.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because the teams we've mentioned are doing it the right way. Obviously, there's been teams in the past that have just thrown money at it, not had that sense of community or connection, and like I said, they've drifted off. So
yeah, the sustainability element, that's the biggest thing. Like, if you speak about Mark, it's not, and obviously I see him every day. He's not focused on like the short term. Like, he knows that he can't do it forever. You know, there's going to be a Dorking Wanderers beyond when Mark no longer can do it. And his biggest thing at the minute is about sustainability, you know, making sure that the club has a long-standing legacy that doesn't just rely on him. And that's testimony to him, because he could use it as a bit of a piece for himself, but he doesn't see it like that. And I think that's what, like, Harry Hugo, obviously met him a few times, got a lot of respect for him. I think he's doing something similar at Farnham, wants to take it to a certain level and then make it sustainable. And you see the crowds they're getting, them crowds will be good at step 3, you know, no issue at all, step 2. So I think that's a model that people need to follow, because anyone with millions can go and buy a football team that would win step 5. but making a club have a lasting impact in the community is, that's real legacy.
Yeah, you can win games of football with money, but you can't create a club. For
Yeah,
me,
exactly
that's how I look at it. Are you surprised or not surprised that Mark's always been the manager? Because some people from the outside can look at it and think step 5 all the way up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean. Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, if he doesn't know something, and he'll tell you he don't know. Like, I obviously do academy football. I look after a lot of the youth teams, and he will openly say, "I've not got a clue about that development bit. No clue." He said, "I can give you my thoughts on it and how I think it should be, but in terms of having a depth of knowledge, he won't even try and make out as if he knows." So what he's done along the way is the bits that he may not be very good at, he gets people that are very good at it, and that's management for you. Like, he's been very good at that. I do think, like, everyone thinks that there'll be a year when he'll give it up. This is my personal opinion. I don't know this for a fact, but I don't think he'll ever give it up. And why should he? If he takes the club into the Football League, he should see it as far as it can go, and it will never happen again. The story of Dorking Wanderers, I'm not saying it just because I'm involved in it, but it will never happen again. It will never happen again. I can't see a club with in terms of size of town. Like when you talk about Dorking, there's more antique shops and coffee shops and barber shops than any sort of real, sort of access to the town. There's no nightlife. There's no sort of reason to go to Dorking unless you're looking for an antique clock or a nice cup of coffee. Do you know what I mean? So, to the fact that he's put it on the map and brought so much footfall to the town, like, I don't think you'll see like another town have that.
So you're going to play yourself when Netflix buy the story, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I might have to lose a few pounds and then go to Turkey as well and get a bit done.
No, it's interesting because obviously people you see Dorking when you're looking at the scores and tables and obviously on social media, but I don't think a lot of people, the majority of people, know about the whole story and the way Mark's brought it. And like you said, if he gets to the Football League, which was his goal right at the beginning, then obviously that's a huge achievement for a town of that size and a club of that size to go all the way through the levels.
Yeah, and I don't know, how long's a piece of string in terms of like your time span at a club. I hope I'm blessed of being there when it happens, but that I have no doubt that by hook or by crook, that will occur. Yeah, that will occur.
No, and it will be brilliant to see. Just going back then to Redhill, we talked about clubs moving on and players moving on. How was it hard to replace Tyrese when he left in the summer? Did he go to Whitehawk?
Yeah, so partly my doing that, So I've got a good relationship with all my players. I try and maintain a positive relationship, and Tyrese has played for me for a number of years. So he came to me at Dorking B when I was the manager there, and he then came with me to Allfold, and I had a short stint there. And he's a tremendous young man. Like, he's, let alone his footballing ability, he's a tremendous young man. I won't speak too much of his personal circumstances, but I had a lot to do with him through some difficult times and supported him. And then he done so well for me that I couldn't stand in his way. And a friend of mine was in at Ross McNeely, was at Dorking, was in at Whitehawk, and I pushed that sort of narrative to Ross, and he managed to get that opportunity. So he deserves that. The likes of Ruben Duncan as well.
Yep.
That will go down as one of the coups of my time. Like, he is he's a National League level player. Like, you look at his record, he's been a pro at Millwall, played for Wales. The only reason he fell out of the game was because he fell out of love with the game when he left Millwall and went into non-league, and it wasn't what he expected, and the sort of realization of having to get a job alongside playing. And then for me to sort of get him back on the football pyramid was was brilliant, and he was a true professional, like in every sense of the word, as you can be at step 5. And he was he was brilliant. And of course I was nervous, like, oh my God, we've got these to replace. But what we've done this year, and I learned from my first year doing it, is it's not always about, especially step 5, the quality of player or the level of player you have, but it's the character.
Yeah.
And we've got one hell of a dressing room. Like, we've got boys who may not be able to clip a 50-yard diag and knock an apple off someone's head like what Ruben could, but they'll hit it within a 10-yard radius. But they'll be the last one there at Thursday Club, you know, playing darts and enjoying the ride, and you want them in the trenches with you. So yeah, we've picked good people this year. I made a few mistakes last year, and I put it all on me as to why we didn't get in the playoffs last year, with a few signings and a few characters I brought into the side. This year I've not made that error, and we've got, you know, a really, really good group, 12 of last year's group, and then 7 or 8 new ones that have just complemented that, and that's took us another gear. So it's good to see.
Yeah, well, obviously we could see that from a Tadley perspective. You come up to our place, and I don't think we laid a glove on you, to be honest, that game. But you could see in your side that they're obviously very, very good ball players, but they could also mix it as well. And I think having that kind of blend in the side goes a long way, especially in step 5, because like a couple of weeks ago, when was it Alton that you got beat by? Anyone in this league can beat anyone. So if you've got players that can mix it and grind out a result, that's going to take you a long, long way.
Yeah, definitely. And like, look, we do things that, you know, I'll openly, like, I'll own it. I think it's above the level. Like, we've got a scout that goes to watch every team before we play them. We do analysis sessions. But one thing I've learned is that will get you at this level, that will get you 1 or 2%, right? But the biggest thing is the characters that can adapt to when the push comes to shove. Because we turned up at Alton expecting certain people to play, expecting a certain way of playing, and then you look at the team sheet, there's 3-4 different players. You know, it wasn't the shape we expected. Yeah, it was the shape we didn't expect. You know, it was one of them. So yeah, like, we try and do as much as we can in all areas to give ourselves a chance, because as you know, people can think what they like, but we don't have a ridiculous budget. We don't have money like, you know, that like what other teams have had who are in a similar position. But what we do have is we have a competitive budget, and then we've got enough resource around it. Like, you've probably seen it on my bench. Like, we fill up most benches with just the management team. You know, I've got, you know, I know you've spoken to Sam. Sam's like my right-hand man with everything that comes like down to comms, social media, you know, signing players. And then you've got Milo's our scout who's there, and he's sort of that sort of conduit between what we need for our team, and he gives us an honest report on what he thinks is right for us. And yeah, it's we try and give ourselves as best a chance as possible, and sometimes it bites you in the backside like Alton, but it was definitely not I thought Alton were brilliant, to be fair. I'll give them the credit. I thought they were brilliant. They knew how to rough us up.
They've really come on, to be fair. I was very surprised of their early start to the season, and they're kind of where they should be now. Moving on to this weekend, big derby. 6 red cards last time, was it? 7?
Yeah. Literally, like, I think I said it in my interview after the game, is there wasn't actually like any ill blood. Like, it was one of them where the ref has got it bang on for 4 of them, right? Absolute bang on. Like, my centre half has got turned. You know, we play a back 3. You know, he's 1-on-1. He's been spun by the forward, and he's just absolutely like larrets him. It's a red card. No chance in hell of anything else. You know, their player then gets a sin bin and then makes a rash challenge, definite second yellow. You know, see you later. And there was only 2. That one he got wrong, which we appealed, and it got rescinded. And the other one was for them. I thought it was like, really, I don't think it was a red card challenge, but I think, well, at that point, when you've given out 4 or 5, you might as well give the 6th, innit, and make headlines. You know what I mean? So yeah, Yeah, there weren't no bad blood between the clubs in my eyes anyway. But naturally, you get the local rivalry.
Yeah, of course.
You know, the diehard fans we do have definitely don't like Hawley and vice versa. So yeah, it will be, you know, we'll be there to mix it, and we're there to win. And as you know, we've got to win. If we don't win, then you know, good night to the league title. So we've got to make sure we turn up.
Well, that's it now. Yourselves, Whiteley fan jersey. Obviously, none of you can afford to drop any more points from here on in, really.
No.
I've said nothing to do with Redhill this, but I've said for the last, I don't know, 3-4 weeks now that Whiteleaf are probably going to go on and get to Wembley in the Vars. Have you seen enough from them this year to kind of back that up?
Yeah, well, I went Saturday, so we didn't have a game. We didn't have a fixture, and it just weren't scheduled. So me and the boys went to foot golf. We had a foot golf morning, and then afterwards I went down to the game, and I thought they were excellent. I think they've got better. You know, we played them early on in the season, and we beat them, and I thought we beat them quite well as well. Like it weren't like it was a smash and grab. We were too physical on the day, and we ran out, you know, in an entertaining game, 4-3 winners. But I think they've got a lot better. I think they've recruited really well. They've got some top players, and they're definitely, you know, I don't know the other teams in that Vars competition, but I think if you look at it as a step 5 across the country, I think our step 5's the most competitive. I think if any 3 of us were in any other division or most of the other divisions, we would be clear winners. So I think I think Whiteleaf are definitely, in my eyes, will be up there as one of the favourites. And I hope they win Saturday, because if they win Saturday, their semi-final first leg is the game after we play them on the Tuesday. So
Yeah,
I've put their management team on notice that we're coming in with big shin pads and we're going to be the hatchet men for the day. So they better rest the big boys.
Yeah. Well, that'll be an absolute touch, won't
it? So yeah, I'll be wearing my Whiteleaf shirt underneath my Redhill jumper on Saturday, hoping they get through.
I hope they do it. I hope they do it as well. To be fair, they got brilliant support. When we visited, they knocked us out of the FA Vars, fully deserved. They've got some good people there. So yeah, good luck to FC Whiteleaf on the weekend.
Definitely, yeah. Good luck to them.
Yeah, Jordan. Sorry, Jordan.
Yeah,
you said at the start that you want to be a full-time manager. I was just wondering, have you got like a plan in your head of the time frame of when you want to reach that goal, or is it just going to be one step at a time?
Yeah, no plan. It's more of like I want to earn my stripes as quick as I can, and you know, I'm not saying I'm going to leave Redhill anytime soon. I'm not saying that the next steps coming anytime soon. But I'm ambitious. I'm out there. I commit, and I want to make sure that I give myself the best platform to do that. This year, you know, doing things like this, being able to speak to people, you know, more people calling my phone than ever, whether it be players, that networking, that black book ever growing. I feel like I'm in a better position now than what I was 2 years ago, and I don't think the next step will be too far, whether that's with Redhill or not. And whatever that looks like, I will embrace it and try and do my best. And if I do it in 5 years, 10 years, I'll be happy. But that the beauty of what I've got is I don't have a sort of secondary job. So like football is my life. Football is what I do. You know, I'm coaching every day. I'm talking something football every day. So I've got a lot of networking that I can do, and I'm hoping that sets me up to be able to do it sooner rather than later. But you know, I'm very keen on achieving that goal, and road mapping it is the hardest thing I've had to deal with, being honest, because when I started Dorking Academy, I could see the next 10 years. I could see what we are now. I could sort of put milestones in place and stuff like that. Like I could finish 3rd this year, losing the playoff semi, and then ultimately I might as well finish 6th. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them situations where I've got to win something. I've got to pull up trees if I want to achieve that goal. So yeah, hopefully we can start that journey this year.
Yeah, no, cheers for that, mate.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, I'm sure I'll speak for Welch as well, but we can definitely see that in your future. Even the interviews after the game, like you get some managers that you can just tell are bullshitting, but
Yeah.
there's been, everyone says like your interviews are so honest, you're open. If your team's not performing well, then like you said last year when you unfortunately missed out on the playoffs, you put that on yourself, and then you had to learn for this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, can see you going far for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like, I really admire a lot of people in the game, and like, there's so many managers out there that I look at and I think like, oh, I'm going to take that from you, and I'm going to use this, and I work with obviously the most successful manager in non-league, so that helps. And then also I've got like massive admiration for like Luke Garrard, like Boreham Wood, young manager, full time, done academy football, similar sort of roadmap to what I want to do. And I just try and, rather than being something I'm not, if I put myself out there as me and it's not good enough, then at least then I know I weren't good enough. If I put myself out there as someone else, I'd always be like, well, if I was just myself, I might have done all right. Yeah. So you get what you see, and my players get the same treatment in the dressing room. They get told exactly what it is, and they also get told when they're brilliant. And I'm the first one to buy a round of drinks or have a night out. Like, I love that side of it as well. So yeah, we live on the edge, and we try and enjoy the highs and get really low with the lows.
Yeah. Brilliant.
No, it's been great. But yeah, appreciate your time tonight, Jordan. Obviously, good luck on Saturday at Hawley, and good luck for the running as well. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks myself.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Make sure you roll over. Yeah, make sure you tell the boys to just roll over. Top stuff, guys.
Cheers, Jordan. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, Jordan.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Nice one, mate. Bye-bye.
Jordan Clark there, manager of Redhill. Yeah, they've got an exciting run into the end of the season, and I've said, haven't I? I've said Whiteley are going to get to the final at the detriment of them winning the league. But those two games back to back, Redhill hosting Jersey and then Jersey hosting Redhill back Saturday and then the following Saturday at the end of this or the end of March is absolutely huge, really.
Yeah, I think just by talking to him tonight, he's definitely someone that's going to definitely shoot up.
He's bang on. He's brilliant. He really is.
He's spot on. Yeah, he says all the right things, and he's very level-headed. He's not in no rush to reach his goal. He wants to do it the right way. So, no, really good luck to him, and I appreciated his time tonight. Yeah,
and like he said, the squad he's built down there. He's lost players like Torrey Sutherland and Ruben Duncan. I remember watching them last year, and you could tell they were going to move on to bigger things. So, yeah, he's obviously with a Dorking as well. He's brilliant at developing players. So, yeah, I've no reason why Jordan can't go on to fulfill his dream of full-time management.
Perfect.